As we all know, one of the hottest topics in today's current events is illegal immigration and how the immigration laws affect illegal immigrants. However, what we don't normally look at is how the illegal immigrants affect us. And by us, I mean the legal citizens of the United States of America. They cause problems from all along the border of Mexico to having American taxpayers pay for their education and their shelter and their health care. Illegal immigrants all along the border are causing problems for ranchers and farmers that live there. One rancher who lives near the Arizona and Mexico border says that 300 to 1,200 illegal immigrants cross his border or cross his property daily, and they leave trash and they destroy his property. He said that all the time he's having to fix his fences, he's having to fix up his tractors or his house even, because so many people are trashing it and he has to clean up all the litter. And he said a few years ago he counted up to 17 dead bodies that he has found on his ranch alone. Another rancher talks about a drug organization that takes place across his ranch. He says that first you'll see a point man with like a sniper walk up across his ranch, and then about half a mile behind him there are fully armed guards. And then another half a mile behind the fully armed guards are finally the drugs. And then another half a mile behind the drugs are more fully armed guards. The ranchers say that these drug operations are very violent, and whoever gets in their way will kill them with no remorse. That's why 80% of Arizona's law enforcement over the past few years has been killed by illegal immigration, or illegal immigrants. Some ranchers report of hearing gunfire every night. Others say that it's not safe to go on vacation because they're afraid there will be nothing left of their ranch when they come back. Others are afraid of leaving their families even just for a few hours at the night to go into town to get something. Another localized problem is the fact that Border Patrol isn't actually on the border. It's 60 miles away with checkpoints. And Border Patrol can't actually stop illegal immigrants from coming in. All they can do is chase the illegal immigrants around. And because they're not authorized to use force, the only thing they can do is catch the illegal immigrants and then peacefully take them across the border into Mexico, just for the illegal immigrants to try to come back across the border. However, they don't always cause problems just locally along the border. The illegal immigrants are severely impacting people's personal wealth and economics. They provide cheap labor, so legal workers in the United States cannot find labor because people don't want to pay more for same quality of labor, or in fact. So people also pay the illegal immigrants with cash, so the illegal immigrants don't have to pay taxes or to the IRS or anything. And the National Research Council reported that illegal immigrants cost American taxpayers nearly $346 billion a year, which is about $1,048 per American. In California, medical care for illegal immigrants cost $1.4 billion in 2004, with the total uncompensated health care, educational, and imprisonment costs to be $10.5 billion. And in California, there are 84 hospitals that are having to close down because they can't afford to take care of illegal immigrants. And this closing of all these hospitals is costing thousands of people their jobs. Now, under Title 8, Section 1325 of the U.S. Code, improper entry by alien, any citizen of a country that is not the U.S. who tries to enter the United States other as designated by immigration officers, avoids examination by immigration officers, or tries to enter the U.S. by false representation has committed a federal crime and is subject to criminal fines and up to 6 months in prison. With repeat offenses, they can get up to 2 years, and with possible additional fines. The effect of this law is the reason why 35% of federal prisons house illegal immigrants, and why 20% of Arizona's prisons are filled with illegals. What doesn't make sense is that Americans are keeping illegal immigrants in our prisons, feeding them, sheltering them, giving them medical treatment, and an education when they aren't paying 1 cent for it. But instead, the American taxpayers are paying for all of it. According to the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 237, any alien who is present in the United States is in violation of this act and any other law of the United States is deportable. So why are prisoners being deported? After all, it's the law. Slowly, states are coming around to passing their own immigration laws, like Arizona's law a few years ago. Other states include Utah, Georgia, Colorado, Maryland, Texas, Ohio, North Carolina, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Mississippi. They're all considering adopting Arizona's laws or similar laws that Arizona has adopted. The law states the prohibition of local and state law enforcement from limiting the federal force that they can have on illegal immigrants, and it requires illegal immigrants to it requires law enforcement to make attempts to determine someone's immigration status where there might be suspicion about that person being in the country. There will be a new misdemeanor offense for any person who fails to carry an immigration registration document. There will be another new misdemeanor offense or felony if 10 or more illegal immigrants are involved. And there will be another misdemeanor offense for the illegal transportation of an illegal immigrant. And other such laws that involve the detection or apprehension of illegal immigrants are being looked at by these states. So as you can see, we're all affected by illegal immigrants, whether it's being threatened or whether it's just our taxes are paying for them. Thank you. I'll now open up for discussion.
So with illegal immigration in America, what do you think is the best way, the most effective way of stopping illegals from coming into America?
No, well, I personally think that we should have stronger defenses along the border, and we should give our Border Patrol more authority to use force in cases of illegal immigration.
There have been some reports in the news that only the federal government has been, I guess, given funding and appropriations to patrol the borders, such as the checkpoints that you mentioned earlier in your speech. Do you feel that giving state powers, or extending the federal powers to the state governments and employing local police officers and things like that, do you think that would aid in the prevention of illegal immigrants entering the U.S.?
Yeah, I do. I think the federal government can do so much. I mean, we're not going to deploy our whole military up there, but if they give the states some sort of authority about, it is the state's borders too, so I think including local law enforcement would in fact be very helpful.
You used the figure of $10 billion being spent for medical
in California.
costs. Yeah, in California. Is that per year or
Yeah,
so
that
far?
was for the year 2004.
So now that it's 2011, you can only imagine with inflation and the number of illegal immigrants who have crossed the border,
Right.
how that's grown. And that's a great big part of why California is in such a huge budget deficit because of all their social programs for illegal immigrants.
Do you think we should allow the Border Patrol to use more force in deporting?
I think we should, because it's a little bit easier now for illegal immigrants to get across the border, and if we use more force, it could be tougher for them to get across. And I think that they should use more force for immigrants that are already across the border, so American taxpayers don't have to pay more for their health care and medical treatment and such.
How has the rate of immigration changed with economic problems?
It's actually gone down a little because the United States had experienced some a little drop in economics, and the reason is because jobs are more scarce, and their illegal immigrants are staying back in Mexico or other Southern American countries so that they can find maybe more
Alabama has recently they're trying to get the federal government to enforce the federal law.
Mhm.
And so the state is bringing it to the state level. And one of the things that is a hot topic, especially with the election coming up, is this Alabama immigration law stating that if there are people who have come across into the United States and have been law-abiding citizens, have roots here, are good citizens, they're paying their taxes, they're not doing anything, that they should be granted some sort of amnesty or a fast track towards getting their citizenship. Throwing it out to everybody. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that's not a bad idea, but we also need to realize that, if they're doing their part, then they should be able to have some sort of amnesty. However, if they're reaching off of the other legal Americans, then they should be deported, or they should have to pay.